Hello, here in my hand I have some of the best books I've read in quarter one, and it feels like it's gone by so fast and yet so slow at the same time. I might not be able to count one of these because technically I read it in April, which makes me sad because I want to talk about it, but there we go. I read it in April, doesn't count. But okay, so here we have some books that I'm going to tell you about. I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to gush about it, and hopefully I can persuade you to read them. Quarter one, I have read 28 books. I had to do a little bit of math there, which shouldn't have been hard, but yeah, I don't do math. So I've read 28 books. 45% is 500 plus pages, another 45% is 300 to 499 pages, and 10% is 300 pages. I like the big books, guys. What am I gonna like? What am I gonna say? All of them are fantasy. This is what they are. 14% are digital. 24% is print, which that tracks, and 62% is audio. Which, again, that tracks. I mainly do this via audio. If you are watching this and you feel disheartened because I've read so many already, that's fine. I'm happy you're reading. I will cheer you on even if you've only read one book this quarter. It's not a numbers game, right? I just like looking at stats and Storygraph. I've not even set a reading goal this year because I don't want to strive for that number. I just want to read what I feel like reading. On that note, let's get into some of the books. Okay, so at the beginning of the year, I started it on a 5-star, which usually I don't. Usually the start of my years, I don't know, words. Usually it ends up with me DNFing a book or just hating the book. I don't know what it is, but I finished the year. I finished it on January 1st or 2nd. Was Miss Percy's Definitive Guide to the Restoration of Dragons. This is such a cozy series and it has dragons, right? This is the third book in the series, so I'm going to talk more about book 1 than I am about book 3 because it kind of spoils what's going to happen, even though what happened in book 3 was just, it just melted my heart. I remember screaming because of the romance in this series was, while it's not even on page, I'm like giddy and it's great, and it's between two older couples. They're both in their 40s. I'm like, give me the older generation romance. I will read it. I love it. But Miss Percy's Pocket Guide books, what are they about? The first book is where Miss Percy inherits a rock from her deceased relative, and she has no idea it's a dragon egg until it hatches, and then Fitz the dragon emerges, and she's like a spinster living with her sister, pretty much raising her sister's children because her sister is vile. She's trying to hide this dragon as Fitz goes around and just causes havoc in this quaint little village in England. And this is very English. It's kind of Victorian. It's Victorian or Edwardian, one of the two. I'm not good at history, guys. I never pretend that I am. I'm bettering myself currently. I'm trying to as I'm listening to the Plantagenets by Dan Jones, but I'm not great at history. But this book is, and this series is just full of, just full of so much comfort and love and just acceptance of people. And somebody who, believed that because his father gambled away the rock or the dragon egg, believes it his and keeps trying to steal Fitz. And Miss Percy's like, he's not an object to be yours. Like, she doesn't even claim Fitz as her own. She's just raising him. And it's very much like, I don't know, it gives me such a comfort to read it, and it's whimsical. And I think if you're a fan of Terry Pratchett, you will really love this. Even though I'm not a fan of Terry Pratchett, I still really enjoyed this. So I don't know, you should go pick it up. I'm not going to go into book 2 and book 3 because it does kind of spoil some things, but there's a lot of lore behind it. It has some epistolary things at the beginning of the book, which is like the diary entries of Miss Percy, because as she's going through and working out dragons, she's trying to learn what they do and kind of not studying them, but just like, how do I take care of you better? Oh, they do this. This is when they did this. It's this, you know, and kind of, and it's just, oh, it's just so sweet, cozy. Talking of a dragon book, The Fireborn Blade. Have I mentioned this a little bit too much recently? Yes. Am I going to shut up about this book? No, I'm not. It's a novella. I don't do novellas, as you can see from the stats. I literally... I like the big books, okay? And novellas, I'm a hit or miss, right? Sometimes like, it was fine. Right, I'm the same with standalones, okay? Sometimes I'm like, I kind of wanted a bit more, you know, there wasn't enough of the story for it to be a complete standalone. I'm a bit picky. So, the fact that I read this novella and I was blown away, I don't know what to tell you. Charlotte Bond is incredible writer. Everything is so concise. Even within a novella, she still surprised me. I was shocked. So, The Fireborn Blade, it's kind of like your typical fantasy setting, right? You have mages, you have dragons, you have knights. This particular knight is a woman. Her name is Madeline, and she is on a hunt for the Fireborn Blade. The Fireborn Blade is kept within this dragon's lair. And the thing about these dragons' lair, they are haunted kind of by like the dead the dragon have killed and stuff like that. And they can kind of take on, you know, latch onto living, and they can harm you. They can, all the things can happen. So you always have to be a bit careful. You have to be very quiet, because otherwise they will notice and they will be like, oh, they'll come for you. You know, like kind of, you know, creepy. I want to say like creepy zombie, but different. She's going through these tunnels, and this man appears, and who went with her. And I don't know, from the beginning he was a little bit sus, but again, it's a very patriarchal world. Like, women are not really allowed to be mages. It takes a man to have faith in a woman to kind of want to train her. And even then, it's to get into like an academy to sort of be realised is difficult. And there was things that happened within this book that was steeped in that kind of misogyny, but was also so surprising, and the character-driven work that happened here, and then what happened at the ending and how the magic system works was just like, what? What is going on? I'm literally sitting here screaming, listening to this book. To pack so much in to such a short book, emotion and twists and just surprises, I was like, what? And then surprise after surprise, like the twist would happen, the characters would react, and they would react in a way that I wouldn't have thought possible, but then you're like, oh my god. And then the implications of their choices that they make, it was just absolutely incredible. Just everybody just needs to go read it. Then we're going to go delve into my romance era that I dive into at the beginning of the year. A Strange Stubborn Endurance. I'm not sure about this book. I don't know what it was. This took me by storm. There was PTSD rep in this, which was really surprising. And it didn't floor me. I think I read it at the right time. And I just wanted that kind of fluff in my life at that time. And now I'm back on my epic fantasy binge. But it was just there. And it was just absolutely... I just loved it. So, there was an arranged marriage. But between the arranged marriage... Velison, our main character, is gay, but he was due to marry a woman from a different country, and that was all well and good until they discovered his proclivity for men. The trouble is with that, his hometown, his father, his family, his country is very homophobic. Okay, very homophobic. So his father just said go, like kind of almost disowned him. So like, what's the point of this like arranged marriage right now, right? But instead of him marrying the princess of this other land, he goes to marry the man, which already I'm like sold. That was so good, and the way it happened and everything that just went on. And then there's a plot, you know, a mystery plot going throughout, like who's trying to kill Velison at the same time when he gets this strange land. You know, he knows nobody, he has no retinue with him because his family's just pretty much disowned him, and it's just I don't know. It was so good. And then you have, obviously, because it's a romance, there's two POVs, both from both sides of it, and it was just, I just loved it. And how Velison and Cathari just grew close together, and then the plots that were going through, and like the different cultures, and you know, when people get married, you have three people who can stand up and like object, but they can't, or it's a temptation more than object. So what they do, they try and tempt you away. So they like kiss you, and to be like, oh, you're gonna go. And it was just like that happening, and then being like one of like Cathari's ex going to Veliston to try and it was just, oh, it was amazing. But also with that, Veliston is dealing with PTSD from sexual assault. So not completely gratuitous. It's very early on in the thing. It's more, I don't know how to put it. It's not full, but it is still like sexual assault. It's just not grape, right? I'm hoping I'm setting the line there, but he's dealing with that, and then Cathari realizes and is trying to help him, and it's just how they kind of overcome it. Obviously, it's a romance. So yes, the PTSD rep is there, but it is not glossed over, but there are moments that Veliston still has that, oh my god, but it feels like that jump from having intense PTSD attacks to I think I can be intimate with somebody again was a little bit too quick. But again, it's a romance book. We're here for the romance. So, and there are, even in book 2, there are moments where Veliston still has those panic attacks from having that PTSD and what happened to him. So there are things there that happen, and it is just, I don't know, I liked it. Book 2, not as good. Partly because of miscommunication trope, not gonna lie. They didn't do it terribly. There was reasons why they couldn't necessarily talk, and everything else was going on. But anyway, I still did enjoy book 2. But book 2 was more of like a Cathari story, whereas book 1 is Veliston's story. That makes kind of sense. So I would read 50 books in that series, not gonna lie. And then on my romance binge, a Power Unbound, Jack Hawthorne. Jack fucking Hawthorne. This again is book 3 in a series. Book 1 is A Marvelous Light, and basically the whole premise of all of this series, where you follow different couples through it, but the overarching plot is there's this magical contract. This again, Edwardian. I think it's Edwardian. It's like England. It's like 18th, so maybe Victorian. There is this magical contract that years ago people created, then they split, and then it should never come back together because someone who ever has it will have never-ending power. And then somebody's trying to find it. And the thing is, these people are all kind of connected, like one character within each book is connected to what's happening, to the contract. The romance between Al and Ross was just there. The tension was there. They started off as literal fuck buddies, and then it bloomed, and like it kind of got a little bit kinky as well, but which, take or leave the smart, but it's the tension between both of them. And there was a moment in this where something happened, and then Jack Hawthorne was like, I know Alan Ross, he would have had a reason for doing this particular decision, and I will still stand by him. I will not berate him for his decision. I will hear him out. And at the end of it, it was sort of like there was no kind of repercussions of what he did, but everybody else was screaming. But Hawthorne was just like, I know him, he wouldn't do this. I'm going to go, and everything. And then the backstory behind Jack Hawthorne was just incredible as well. And then Alan, and how the ending came about with both of them was just incredible. I loved it. I've read this in like a day. I did the audiobook, I bought the ebook, and then I hunted down the Illuminate edition of this book, and I also have the Illuminate edition of both the other books, because I love this series. But talk about gay romance. TJ Klune. I'm never going to shut up about TJ Klune. We kind of ended up doing a buddy read with me and a group of friends on a Discord, and there was me who read it in a day, another friend who then read it in a day, and then somebody else who read it within 2 to 3 days, because we all just loved this so much. And TJ Klune, he can fail a little bit, but with Green Creek series and this book, which is set in the same world, he hasn't failed. And it's just incredible. I absolutely loved it. So you have Nate and you have Alex, and you have Artemis Darth Vader. Now Nate is retreating back to his cabin he's inherited, and because his father shot his mother and then shot himself, so he's dealing with that Also the fact that his family is a bit homophobic. And then he returns to his cabin in the middle of nowhere with no signal, no nothing. And then he's like, there's squatters in his cabin. He's like, what's going on? This wounded military man who's threatening him, but obviously he's very sick. He can't stand up very well. Nate is a bit overwhelmed. And then this strange child called Artemis Darth Vader, and he doesn't know how to process things, but it turns out somebody is after Artemis Darth Vader because she is not who she seems. And Nate decides to throw his lot in with these strange people to help them because it's the right thing to do. And that is his story as it goes through. This book floored me. I literally drove half hour to pick up this book so I could take it to where I was staying because I was house sitting for somebody. And so I could read the last 2 chapters. I did most of this on audio. This was incredible. The narrator was just incredible. There's nothing more human than a broken heart. And there was moments in this book I was so close to crying. There was moments in this book I was so full of grief that I was past tears. And yet, every time TJ Klune brought me to that point, he brought me back to this happiness, to the point where I was so close to crying out of happiness. It was beautiful and wonderful and just perfect. I adored it, and it's made me want to reread the Green Creek series over again. But the trouble is, I don't think I can reread Heart Song because he broke my heart so much. Even when I read that book first, that was the 3rd book in the series, I read that first, he still broke my heart. And then I went back and read the other 2 series, and I went, I have to learn about these characters that's in Heart Song, how they happened in book 1 and book 2, to then know what happens in Heart Song. I can't. It's like trying to read Assassin's Fate again. Literally, it broke me so much. He does bring me back together, but at the same time, I don't know if I could suffer for the beginning of Heart Song purely because of that. But anyway, TJ Klune, he can write a romance, and I will read it. And then the last book on my list, I'm not surprised a lot of you, Blood Over Brighthaven. This book took me by storm. I did the audio for this. A friend of mine did a read along for it because I missed a read along on a Discord server or something just because I just got so busy. And so I did it with my other friend, and 2 days. And I only paced myself because the read along, we read it in 2 parts, and I was 2 days, and I was floored. I prefer this to Sword of Kaigen, not gonna lie. Sword of Kaigen still brought the same emotions out of me, and I do worry about Emma Wong with her future books. If her endings, again, this is going to be like her endings, and then they're going to lose that kind of shock factor. But I kind of trust Emma Wong. That might not be the case because she's an incredible writer. Incredible. This is about a female mage set in a misogynistic world, and she is the first mage to be accepted into this academy before they go, oh, we'll only offer women to enter once every 10 years because they never, they're not, fair as sex, they can't do magic, that kind of shit. And she proves them wrong. She's an exceptional mage. And Siona, the main character, gets into this academy, and she has 3 months to try and help with the blight, right? So they have like this barrier around the town, and the blight that is in the kind of the Quinn, which are like the marginalised people, basically. They're looked down on, not paid enough, degraded all the time by other people. And this, and even her fellow mages, even though she was the one who passed the trial top of it, like the other men made mistakes, she never did. And she did it, and she was just incredible. They still tried to undermine her. So they give her a Quinn assistant rather than giving up the 4 this particular mage happens to have, that he doesn't need 4 assistants. So that's where Tommel comes in, and the bonding over Tommel. But the thing is, even though Siona is part of bigotry, she is also part of a systemic problem, and she realizes something, and it really tears through her, and then she makes decisions because of it that is very, like, implicates all of society, everything you held up. And it was the way it was written, the way it was done, and the ending of this book. While I didn't cry, I did know what was going to happen, and I felt deep grief because of the decision people made, and the decision Siona made, and the decision for her to decide how she was going to live with this knowledge and what she was going to do and what was the right decision. You know, she was no longer there just to prove to other people. Because of this realization, she went, this is not just about me, this is about other people, this is wrong. Surely everybody else is going to believe the same as me. And she's almost shocked when they don't, because again, the Quinn are kind of a stand-in for other marginalized people, black people in America, all these kind of things going on. And it was it was very, very well written. I loved how, even though Tommel, who is again suffering from this kind of racism, and then you have Siona, who is suffering from misogyny, they both don't quite see the other side, but they still communicate and they still come together, and they will have arguments over things like this. And it's sort of like one of them is trying to understand the other, but they can't quite reach, but they're still trying to breach that gap. And this is not a book where it's going to leave everything, you know, oh, we've brought down this systemic problem, we've done all this. No, it's basically it's a stepping stone. It is a standalone. I'd read more books in this series, I really would, but Emma Wong seems to love her standalones, and this is just incredible. This is a stepping stone in a way of making things right. At the same time, this was phenomenal. I'd reread this all the time. I finished this book and I went, I need to go back and read the last couple of chapters, because I'm amazed about how all of this happened. And I can see why people cried in this. I can really see it. It just made me feel very, very grief, like deep in my chest, to the point where I wasn't crying. Those are the books that are the best of quarter one, and some of my stats. And I'm not really keeping much track. If you want to keep more track, that's fine. I just thought it'd be kind of curious to see. I always know I'm an audio girly, but I'm trying to make more of an effort to read more physically, ebook or print, because it's so easy for me to get home and go on TikTok or go scroll or something like this, whereas I'm like, no, I want to stop doing that. I have 5 minutes, okay, I can pull out my phone and read an ebook for 5 minutes before I head to the gym or something. So that's what I'm trying to do, rather than just jumping onto social media. Because again, people, I'm too chronically online. I'm way too chronically online. But on that note, let me know what was your favourite book of quarter one, and I will see you in the next one.